Hey everybody, welcome back to Reachin Reverie. My name is Alex and thank you so much for choosing this video to watch today. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update here on the property where we are building our homestead from scratch, from raw land and turning it into our dream home and our dream future. We're building that. So last week marked 1 full month of us being property owners, and I feel like we've come a long way so far, but it hasn't been without our obstacles and hurdles. And today I'm going to walk you through the property and show you what we got done in the past week and some of the hiccups that we encountered along the way. At the end of the last video, we were showing you guys where we were digging a trench and putting in electrical conduit from our electric panel on the other side of that tractor over to this pole right here. That pole that's standing up is where the conduit is coming up out of the ground, and our electrical conduit is buried 4 feet down. We haven't run electric yet through there, so for now we do have the top of that capped off so that it can't collect water or any debris like that. One thing that's super exciting, our meter. Look at that. Our meter is in, so we do now have electric set up and ready to go here on the property. We did hit some setbacks right after we finished filling in this trench. I'm glad we got it filled in. Our tractor has fallen into a little bit of disrepair and the starter is out on the tractor. So that is an obstacle that we are going to try to get taken care of this coming week, as we also got septic at the beginning of last week. Our tank's in the ground, the leach field is done, but we still have to dig a trench to run the plumbing from the septic to where our RV is going to live over here. And you can see we have quite a ways to dig a trench. That's not something we want to do by hand. So tractor is kind of going towards the top of the list to get repaired this week. I think we need a part to come in for that starter to get tinkered with and replaced. Right as we were ending last week's video, we had our septic guy. We hired our friend Ronnie, and he came out and dug our septic, installed the tank, installed the leach field, and that's what he was working on as we left for the weekend. So I actually didn't see it installed until after the project was complete. And I actually got my first look at this just a couple days ago. You can see here, this is our septic tank. He lives right here. He's ready to get tied into the plumbing. And then we have this huge area right here is the leach field. And so the leach field has been completely cleared out. One of the things I'm planning to do tomorrow is we're expecting a ton of rain in the next couple of days. We have like an 80% chance of rain on Monday. And so I really want to get grass seed started in this field so that we can start growing something besides weeds and cactus up in our leach field. I think this would be a really great place to, in the future, tractor meat rabbits. This also would potentially be a good place for our dog to have some area where she can walk around without stepping in cactus. So looking at this, I believe our leach field, I'll have to get with Josh, but I think the leach field is like 60 or 70 feet long, and I forget how wide it is, but it goes all the way out here. And you can see we have rabbit prints from our wild hares all in here. It looks like we had a deer run through with a limp dragging its legs. And we also saw a couple of areas on the other side of the property where wild hogs have been rooting around. So we do have quite a bit of wildlife activity going on, and we're really excited to keep managing for this land. One thing we've noticed with all the rain we got this week, we got quite a bit of rain, is the ants have been coming up out of the ground and sending off what I guess are their queens, the flying ones. And we've had what Josh thought was a swarm of bees yesterday, and it was literally just thousands of ants flying around in the sky, and it looked like a swarm. You can see here we have a bunch of ants. These things are huge. When the queens come out and fly, they literally are like the size of bees, and it looked like a swarm of bees. So leaving our Leach Field area, we're now going to walk back up towards our RV port, and let's show you what progress we made this weekend. Still kind of sad about electric company knocking down our cholla with the bird nest in it. This is our RV port. It is ready for us to bring the RV in. I will show you guys a clip of the roof being put on, a little bit of a time lapse to show how hard the guys worked this weekend. This weekend, Josh's buddy Daniel, as well as another friend Drew, came up and helped Josh with getting the roof put on. They also added cross bracing in just to add some additional support with the high winds that we have. We have some coming over here, another one Xing down over there.
What's it called? And then just one hit, man. Freaking the biggest freaking.
And the plan is that the RV will be backed into the space, and we do plan on building a carport right here off to the side, and then of course the shop is going to kind of go even with that pole out this way, going back a few feet. With this done, we are really excited to get the RV in here. Our next project that we plan on working on tomorrow, we have two projects. Is one Josh is working on right now, and that was my chore this morning while the guys were working on the roof, is we are plucking cactus so that we can work on our circle drive. That way we can have an area to pull around and actually back the trailer in without driving through the desert. So I have these pink flags that we've put in the desert, and they go from the road out, and we are essentially getting rid of all of the vegetation from the pink flags over to the RV port, and that is going to be our space where we're going to have the circle drive come through. So this morning, while the guys were working on the RV port, I had a shovel and was out here plucking cactus already. You can see we've pretty much got it cleared. It curves right around that mesquite thicket and catclaw thicket right there and turns this way. And so all of these have been cleared. We already have some good cactus piles working up. There's another cactus pile over here and a couple back there. And this is the start that Josh has already begun on our circle drive. And this is kind of what I was mentioning, where we have some rooting behavior from hogs. Look at this. Yes, we have been plucking cactus, but this is not cactus damage. This is wild animal damage. So that's kind of interesting. We got a really strong, heavy rain just a couple days ago, and it was pretty muddy out here even this morning. And you can see they have just gone to town, rooting around where we have plucked the cactus, really enjoying this loose dirt and moisture. I'm so excited, you guys, about my garden. We do plan on getting the fence up at some point so that we can start clearing out the land and getting it prepped for next spring when we can start gardening here at the property. One thing that Josh surprised me with today, which just was so exciting, is off in the distance. We're working our way over there. This just made my day, you guys. My week. This made my week. This is super exciting. Josh surprised me with... It's a longer walk than I expected. Josh surprised me with our first roll of fencing. This is exciting. So this is going to be our garden fence. And we were talking about this today. It was either going to be the fence along the front of the property where we could put a gate and fence it off, or we could fence off the garden. That was a pretty easy choice, especially with seeing the wild hog rooting right outside where the garden's gonna go, seeing the deer tracks right there and the rabbit tracks. This was a good choice. So this here is a game fence. It's an 8-foot long, I think it's like 330-foot roll, and this is going to be the perimeter fencing of my garden to keep things like deer and hogs and javelinas and other wild critters out of our garden space. The other big thing, and literal in the sense, that we added to the property today is one of our initial first 2 water tanks. Tomorrow, besides plucking cactus, we are going to be installing our Water Catchment System. And this afternoon, after Josh and the other guys finished adding the metal roofing to our RV port over there, Josh and I took a drive and went and picked up our first 3,000-gallon water tank. We do have another one that we've already purchased, but we're gonna go back in a second trip to go and pick that one up at a later date. But because we're getting so much rain this coming week, we really wanted to take advantage and maximize our potential with getting this installed so we can start collecting some water. So this tank right here, we're so excited about, is going to go up right over there. We're gonna put the gutter system on tomorrow and start catching some rainwater. It is a desert where we live, and we don't get the most rain or even the most consistent rain in the world. So in addition to having rainwater catchment, we also have a backup plan of, for the meantime, hauling water. One thing that was so generous is one of our friends did give us some of their equipment for hauling water. We have a friend that they live in the desert south of us that's even more arid and much hotter than where we are here, and their sole water consumption is rainwater catchment, and their capacity at their house is 48,000 gallons of water catchment that they have, and they're able to completely survive solely on rainwater catchment. We're starting with a modest 3,000. We're going to bring in another, so we'll have 6,000 gallons of water catchment. They have 48,000 gallons. That is something that you work up to over years. It's an investment that you build upon. But they did gift us with a couple of trailers as well as a IBC tote for hauling some water. So we are planning on hauling water to start off with whenever we are low in our capacity on our water tanks. One thing about this one though is it is kind of old. We were looking at it and noticed today that, you know, this one hasn't been used in 10 years and the valve literally just broke right off. That is something that can be replaced, so we're gonna try to get it renovated or restored and replace that valve on that one. And we do have one other IBC that is used that we have been, it only had water in it before, but we are rinsing and flushing it because it had some dirt in it. And our plan is add some water, drive it around to shake it up and loosen up the dirt in it, rinse it out, power wash it, and then we'll probably rinse it with a sanitizer to really make sure that it is safe for having drinking water in. And for the time being, we're going to use that as our water hauling tote until we can get our second one into the rotation. And our goal for this little green cart is hopefully to be able to hook that up to the back of our ATV where I can haul some tools and gardening supplies around, so I could either water the plants by hauling water to the garden, or we could put things like soil and garden tools or even plants and take them to the garden area with a lot more ease than, say, using like a wheelbarrow or my brute strength, which we all know is just awesome, right? No, I'm kind of the weakling in the group. So that's the quick update showing you guys what happened up to this point this week. I am excited about tomorrow getting the gutters on and plucking some more cactus, making way for our circle drive to be completed and usable. That way we can get the RV here on the property, because the sooner the RV's added, the sooner we can start moving towards living out here, the sooner we can focus on our next projects, and the sooner we're out from under one less place that we have to rent right now. This is the perfect time of day. It's so cool. There's a nice breeze. The sunset is pretty. Good morning, everybody. It is the next day, and I am trying to tame this so that I can get to work this morning and not have hair all in the way. So now I just need to grab my sunscreen because I burn really easy. Oh, I can't grab my sunscreen. Josh took my car. So hair is managed. Got my water, and now I'm just gonna grab my rake and get started on the leach field. There's a black-tailed jackrabbit right there. Yeah, he's too far. He's over there under that mesquite. Now I might have waited too long. This is still pretty squishy, but you can see how it's dried up already. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take the rake and try to loosen this up a little bit, and then I'm going to come back and use my spreader to spread seed over the field, and then come back and gently rake over to lightly cover the seeds and see what happens. Cross our fingers, cross our toes, pray, and hope that we have some grass growing here pretty soon. You see all these rabbit tracks? He was playing around over here. And then we also have a little bit of rooting up in here. These are round prints. No, that's not. I take that back. Those look like hooves. So now this whole leach field has been plowed, and I don't normally sweat, but I'm working one up today. That was some manual labor. I felt like a horse plowing a field with my little yoke, pulling a little tiny rake. But you know, when the tractor's down, you gotta improvise. We are getting some good rainfall here in the forecast, so I really wanted to break up the soil to allow the seeds and the water to be able to penetrate the ground. This is the area that I did not rake. And I mean, if we get heavy rainfall, it would have just washed the seeds away. The water wouldn't have had time to soak in. So what we're doing here is, next I'm gonna be using my spreader over there, and I'm gonna be spreading out tall fescue, which is heat and drought tolerant grass. And the plan is to put it in, hopefully, you know, I'm gonna come back and rake over it a little bit to cover some of the seeds. We're hoping that the animals don't eat all of our bird seed, but now that we've raked this land, we have the best chance for germination. So here we go. Eventually, when we have our plumbing hooked up to the septic, we will need to water this area less because the leach field will be essentially bottom watering this area. So it should help us to keep grass on this like lawn. So that's kind of our goal. Right now, we don't have the capabilities, since we don't have water yet, to irrigate this land. So that's why we're putting this over our leach field to help kind of reduce the need to waste water. And earlier I did mention that we are hoping to tractor rabbits on this ground. If you are new to the idea of homesteading or the idea of growing your own food, rabbit tractor may be a term you've never heard of before. When you tractor rabbits, that essentially means you have your little rabbit house that the rabbit lives in, and typically it will have like a wire bottom or a mesh bottom to prevent like predators from going up through the bottoms of the houses, but they're open floors so that the rabbits can still feel the ground. And when you tractor rabbits, what you're doing is you'll move their house every day or every couple days so that they're able to live on fresh ground, and they can eat the grass, they can fertilize the soil, since their manure is cold, meaning that the nutrients in their poo is great for the soil, but it will not burn or damage the plants by being directly put on it. Like chickens, for example, their poo will burn your plants. So our goal here is to move the rabbit houses over the land, and then when they get to one end, you just go back down and start over. That way they can be on fresh ground eating fresh grass every day. And I am a huge animal lover. We do want to grow our own food because we want to be healthier, more mindful of our impact on what we're consuming. And I want to steward well. I want to grow animals that are happy and healthy. And hopefully, if we do our job right, that animal will only have one bad day. And that is, I think, a good thing to live by. So at this point, the leach field has been plowed, the seeds have been sown, and I did then go back and re-rake the whole field to just lightly cover those seeds to help try to prevent things like birds and ants from carrying all of the seeds away. So the field is done. Josh and Daniel have been doing the finishing touches on the roof, and this morning they are installing our gutter system so that we can collect rainwater off of this 800 square foot roof. So every time we get 1 inch of rain, we should be getting about 480 gallons, give or take, of rainwater collection. I noticed walking through here just now, we have all of our choyas. And look at this little bitty baby choya. But let's take a closer look. You can see they already have a gutter up there with an end cap on it. initial chore was done. Don't even have to pay a gym membership for the forearm workout that was this morning with the rake in the field. But now what I'm gonna continue to work on is grabbing a shovel and plucking cactus. Whew. And just like that, we've got another little cactus pile. I do love cactus. And you can see our pink flags. On that side of the pink flags, we're leaving them. But this is where the road is gonna go. And Choya is one of my favorite cactus. He's in the path of the road. He had to come out. But overall, you know, we're creating this road and we do still want to have some native habitat on the property as well. So other side of the pink flag, they're safe. All right, everybody, our weekend is drawing to a close. We have the gutter system on, which is huge, and then we also have our draining system to go into our first 3,000 gallon water tank right there. And this couldn't have come at a better time, as we do have a 70% chance of rain overnight and into tomorrow. It's supposed to rain all day tomorrow, and then we have a 40% chance of rain on Tuesday. So this is really cool to have our preparations done to start doing water catchment, and also having our seed in the ground to start growing grass on the leach field. So this is awesome that we were able to get this all done before our weekend has come to a close. A little closer look at the tank. It drains off of the roof and it comes down, and this is here as a temporary brace. We will put another brace on that 90 there. A little closer look at this tank and our system of drainage from the roof. This is approximately an 800 square foot roof. So for every inch of water rainfall that falls, we should be collecting about 480 gallons into this 3,000 gallon water tank. But we do have what we call like a spoiled trap, where the initial rain that comes will rinse the roof and it'll wash off any dirt or debris like bird poop or dust that has collected on the top of the roof, and it'll get caught into this initial trap. And once the trap is full, the water will run over the top and into the tank. This is something that I could come out here and put a 5-gallon bucket underneath, drain the trap that may have things like dust or dirt, just general initial debris, and I can use that and recycle it to water plants, things that we're not going to need that for drinking water purposes. And then the rest of the water is going to come into this tank cleanly. We will have a filtration system that we can go over in another video, kind of discussing how we purify our water to be able to be used here on the homestead. And we also realized, Josh mentioned that ideally this spoilt trap should be going straight here with a T. So eventually down the line we will end up moving this drop over to here, so it'll come down in a straight line and then 90 and come into the tank. But for now, this is going to work for us. We are holding that stable onto the tank so that doesn't wiggle around, and we will get that corrected here in the near future. So that is it for today's video. If you liked what you're seeing, please don't forget to like and subscribe this video. That way you can stay up to date as more content comes out. Next week we will be posting what's coming up next. And until next time, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Look at that, Evie's already enjoying the shade from our new roof that we just got put on. Yeah, huh, Evie? She's like, I found the shade.